Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today I'm very excited to bring you a review for the new Transformers Earthrise Cybertronian villains, Wingspan and Pounce. I usually call them the other way around, but I'm just reading left to right. These are considered War for Cybertron Earthrise number 30. They are a Target exclusive 2-pack here in the United States, and they'll have other distributors worldwide. And these toys are re-decos of the Titans Return figures, though they much more closely resemble the color layouts of the Japanese Legends versions, while still using slightly different shades of colors. So they're, I guess, more appropriately a redeco of the Legends toys. These have been surprisingly hard to get. I didn't think there'd be a huge demand for them, but they were really hard to obtain online. They sell out within maybe a minute of coming in stock. Though stores are starting to get them in stock now, just none near me. I got mine online. Seems either people really want these, or the scalpers with their scripted bots have just really taken an interest in reselling them, which, look you up on eBay, that's probably the case. So anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toys in their packaging, which is, a unique packaging, still done in the same Earthrise style. We're going to open them up, take a look at the instructions, we'll take a look at the map piece, because these do include a map piece, like other Earthrise toys. And then we'll look at Pounce and Wingspan themselves in both their Beast and Robot modes. I'll of course be doing comparisons to the Titans Return versions that I own. We'll probably do at least one group shot with the Autobot twins too, just for fun. And then at the end of the video, of course, I'll give my final thoughts. So this 2-pack, like I said, does come in a unique package. It's not in any particular size or shape related to the size classes. It's its own thing. It's very wide but flat. And you got our two guys prominently on display here. You got Wingspan on the left, Pounce on the right. You have this really cool artwork of them in their beast modes. So it's a really cool little piece of artwork. Off to the side, you have a shot of the Ark sticking out of what I presume is Mount St. Helens. It says double pack on here, along with the same thing in multiple languages. This side, just your regular Earthrise promo art. Typical stuff on the top with Galvatron floating through space for some reason, which I hope we get an answer for that sometime soon. And then on the back, you have some renders. And they're pretty color saturated renders, especially with the purples. I don't think they're going to pop quite that much on the actual toys, but we'll get them out and see. Then you just got their names. You got Wingspan, and then you have Decepticon Pounce, because Pounce is a much harder name to trademark than Wingspan, I guess. Then got their stuff in Ancient Autobot. You got their symbols for where they're from, their city symbols, or I guess their ranks, right? And that's pretty much it for the box. So it's very lightweight, weighs next to nothing. All right, now let's open this up. All right, first we're going to take a look at the map piece. And this one actually has something on it. So take your handy dandy decoder, and you can see this planet mass here is actually Aquatron. And Aquatron, unless I'm mistaken, was first introduced in the Aligned Continuity novels as a place that the Transformers stopped on their journey between Cybertron and Earth. And I think it was ruled by Quintessons, if I remember right. So that's cool. You get a major piece of the map here with this relatively obscure little 2-pack. All right, here's our instruction book. It's done up in that Earthrise blue-green there. You got Wingspan up here, Pounce down there. Unfurl it, and first you get the instructions for Wingspan. You can see how that goes. And turn around, and here are the instructions for Pounce. And I want to point something out. On this first step here where you turn his forearms out to the side, the instructions show you to do it, or at least implies that you do it at the ball joint of the bicep, rather than this swivel a little higher up where it meets the shoulder. I think that's wrong, and I'll kind of show you why, but also you notice on the Wingspan one, it actually does highlight the upper arms in that turning motion. So I think it's a mistake on Pounce, that something I didn't realize until getting this version of the toy, but I'll show you that. All right, here we have Wingspan and Pounce in their beast modes. And again, nothing new to see mold-wise, of course. They're just straight redecos. Pounce himself has some decent articulation. The head can move up and down, though it's not really supposed to. It's more for the transformation. The front legs pivot at the shoulder and at the elbow there. And the back legs can move back. They can pivot at the knee. And in theory, they can kind of swing out a bit too, but it's not really part of it. And tail goes up and down, which is neat. Wingspan himself, a little less articulated. The wings can flap to a small degree, but they're held in place here by the hip joints. Tail can flap up and down. The head can also swing a little if you want to cheat. And then the feet do hinge here. You can see. I can get to, there you go. So you can kind of adjust the pitch that he stands at. So he's a little more of a brick than Pounce is, just because of the way they come together. So overall, they look good. They really very much remind me of Six Shot in his color scheme. It's almost like they're his little children or something. Here they are with Titan's Return Wingspan and Pounce. And you can see overall the colors are very similar. The biggest difference in actual coloration being swapping out the pink for purple. Now there are some other things to take note of. For one, the eyes for the Titan's Return versions are orange, whereas the Earthrise ones are a deep red. Now you can also see some paint app differences across the front of Wingspan's wings, or robot shins. There's more paint going on in the Titan's Return version. This elects to break it up with just blue. You can see here the little chest emblem, which will be more prominent in robot mode, is much more vivid on the new version, whereas this guy, his is more meant to resemble a rub sign, so it's much more dark and faded. And those are the big differences. Now Pounce probably stands out a little more from his Titan's Return counterpart. So again, orange eyes. The little tail flap thing is, white on the new version, so it matches most of his body better. I wasn't crazy about the pink on this one. The purple legs are also a pretty major difference. And again, the little symbol there on the chest is just much more noticeable in the new version. Also want to point out that my copy has some paint spatter right here, which is really annoying. Might be able to remove that if I'm careful, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I think overall I prefer the color layout on the Earthrise Pounce to the Titan's Return one. As far as wingspan, there's not really enough of a difference between the two for me to have a favorite. It really just comes down to whether you prefer the pink color or the purple. All right, now it's transformation time, and we're going to start with the wingspan since that's where the instructions start. So you go ahead, you take his wingtips and you fold them all the way back. You pull his legs off of this little tab here on his sides, straighten them out, and then you swing his hip pieces back together, like so, until they're firmly reattached. Take his legs, turn them 90 degrees, face them forward. These hinges right here, that his arms and wing bases are on, you just swing out. And you rotate his arm. Make sure you're rotating it here, up at the swivel. Because the way the upper arm and the forearms are molded, there's a certain way they're supposed to go, otherwise they don't really sit right. Fold the eagle head back and robot head forward, and this is wingspan. And for the added price of these guys, because this is $25, whereas Legends class toys used to be $10 a piece. Would have been nice if they tossed these guys each a little handgun or something, just to sweeten the deal. I think that wouldn't be asking too much. A little cheap piece of plastic for that extra $5 between the two of them, but oh well. Now we have Pounce, and first thing you want to do, take his tail, fold it all the way back until it tabs on his little butt flap there, like so. Straighten his legs out, Turn them 180 degrees at the swivel. Fold the cat feet back to form his heel spurs. Then swing his arms back like you do for Wingspan. Take his forelegs for the cat mode, fold them all the way up against his back. Like that. And then same thing, rotate him at the swivel on the upper arm. Now this is what I was kind of talking about. The instructions on the Earthrise one, and I believe on the Titans Return one also, they told you to like turn him at the bicep, right? Not the actual swivel. Problem with that, doesn't really want to do it on this copy. Come on. Oh, it's not gonna let me. But basically what that would cause is when you put him in the cat mode, these really wouldn't sit nice and flush. They'd be kind of like arched like that. It really hurt the look of the toy. Now this copy, it seems the ball joint's tight enough and the swivel's loose enough to where it'll just turn like it's supposed to. My Titans Return one, you got to put some effort into it. All right, so fold the cat head. Oop, how'd that happen? Cat head all the way back. Robot head around. There you go. Here's Pounce's robot mode. And you can see, as per, their whole gimmick, they look very nearly identical in the robot modes. There's some kibble difference, especially on the back. And they got the little symbol on there, which, again, originally that was a rub sign, right? You're supposed to hide what they were supposed to turn into and which one was which. But since this is based on the Takara version, they opted for just a blatant little sigil on their chest there. Their posability is pretty good. Remember, these are Titans Return molds, so they don't have all of the same standards that War for Cybertron does. So ball jointed shoulders. Technically, you got some shoulder swing here because you can do that, but it's not really part of it. You got the upper arm swivel. You got ball jointed biceps. No wrist articulation. No waist articulation. Ball jointed hips. You have a thigh swivel. Single bend knees and no ankle tilt. The feet are just molded in place. And you could also count some extra things like the tail flap can go up and down. That's more for just clearance. Oh yeah, and then the head is on a swivel, so it turns left to right, all the way around if you want to. So that's pretty much it. This guy's obviously going to have the same articulation. I'm not counting whatever we're going to do with the kibble there. So they're adequately articulated, right? They're not on the level of current standards, but they're better than, say, Cyberverse. And this is what $10 would get you during the Prime Wars trilogy. Before that, during Thrilling 30, $10 would get you this, plus like some really cool transforming weapon partner. But times change, materials get more expensive, inflation happens, and corporations get greedy. So a lot of factors lead us to paying $25 for these two. Me personally, it hasn't been that long since Prime Wars. I don't think these guys should have been more than $20 total, because they're two $10 toys. But I don't know all the specifics on how much inflation weighs into it and cost of plastic. Maybe it is required. Maybe only a few years later they really do need to cost more, but I don't know. The price hikes between Prime Wars and War for Cybertron was, they said it was down to, better materials and more articulation, more part counts and stuff. And it's true, right? They are much more complex figures than the predecessors for the most part. These guys aren't, right? They're just redecos, so I don't know. Don't know how to feel. It's not an unreasonable price, right? I'm not like mad that I paid $25 for these because it's not that much above what I think they're worth. Here are their Titans Return counterparts again, and in the robot modes, the differences are a bit less stark because a lot of the pieces that were colored differently are kind of tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. Biggest differences, again, being the whole rub sign effect and the shin coloration differences, which they all have. Yeah, not a huge difference. This set was made, pretty much for all the people that missed out on the original clones because they were only available as part of a $100 box set and then a 2-pack where Wingspan came with Cloud Raker. So I mean, you had to spend like what was it, $120 total to get them, and they were also pretty hard to come by because that 2-pack was a Walgreens exclusive in the US, and the box set saw a very, very poor distribution. It was what was it, Siege on Cybertron was the one, and yeah, I mean that thing sold out quickly and barely got restocked. So yeah, for people that missed out the first time, this is perfect. And or if you're just a completionist, or you want to finish the map piece, and you're a poor sucker like me that's actually willing to buy this mold again for the slight paint differences in the map piece, well, you know, congratulations. A fool is easily parted with his money, right? But I don't know, I mean, they do enough differently to where I don't completely hate buying this. It's not the same as having to rebuy Astro Train for a map piece, or you know, the little Battle Masters like Rung. You at least get something different, and you get something closer to the Takara Deco, which, you know, if you preferred that one, you just didn't want to pay those import prices or whatever, you know, you got this now. I'm also noticing as I'm speaking, I'm spotting more color differences between these guys, specifically the shoulder hinges. Here they're just light blue like the chest, but here they use dark blue, and then there's paint on the midsections of the Titans Return versions, whereas on Earthrise they're just unpainted. So something I spotted while talking your guys' ears off. Oh yeah, I also just noticed that the Earthrise clones have silver painted faces. See right here, while the Titans Return ones are unpainted like the original toys. So, man, just amateur hour up in here. Why do you guys even watch me? I'm terrible. All right, and for some fun, here are the Autobot twins from Titans Return. And you have Cloudraker and Fastlane. Now, just like the clones, I don't own the Legends versions of these, and there is no current Earthrise version. There are rumors that we are getting one. There's apparently a leaked listing somewhere, which would make sense. I'd be shocked if they went through the trouble of releasing the clones so that everyone could get caught up on them, but not the Autobot twins. Time will tell, of course. I mean, wouldn't be the first time we've been disappointed. This is the same Hasbro that gave us Magnus Prime in a box set, but then never finished him out to give us the, what they called Iron Apex, which would have been their version of God Bomber. So, you know, it could happen. They could drop the ball or plans change. We'll see. I do hope that if they do release the twins, that they're not based off the Takara Decos, because those things are really ugly. They're just like this weird pink color, and it just doesn't look good. But we'll see. They probably will be, and it's going to be unfortunate. I'll still buy them though, because I'm a sucker. So, having said all this, you know, what do I think of this 2-pack overall? I think it's a great thing. A lot of people missed out on the clones, and they were really annoyed about that. I mean, Hasbro very much dropped the ball with those box sets. I mean, first of all, people weren't even crazy about having to buy box sets to get them, but then they didn't even finish the box sets. Now, technically, they never officially confirmed that there would be more, but given releases that have come, you know, trickled out after the box sets, you know, with the corresponding Titan Masters and all that, it was almost definitely going to happen. And then they didn't do it, which is how we got the Walgreens 2-pack. So I hope they don't drop the ball. We'll see, though. As far as the decos, I think I'm leaning toward liking these more. I mean, the toy-inspired decos from the Titans Return ones, they're cool, but I think the purple works a lot better with the blues and whites than that pink does. I think it clashes less. And I do like the purple cat legs on Pounce. They really pop. I like the way they look. Tolerances on these, I haven't had any issues. I've seen reports, I think his hip's pushing all the way. Oops. I've seen reports that some people are having like loose floppy joints. I haven't seen anything like that, or at least no floppier than my Titans Return versions. I mean, the hips are slightly loose, but not enough to where they flop around. So I think they're pretty solid. The price is decent. Again, I'd prefer if it was $20, or if they included handguns this time to further differentiate them. I don't know why they couldn't just give them little blasters each. Could even be the same mold, I don't care. So I think it's overall worth it, especially if you don't have these. The packaging is neat. It's just a little tiny box set. And Target exclusives, at least here in the US, tend to be pretty abundant if you have a Target in your area. You know, at first, when they're first hitting shelves, of course, everybody's scooping them up, and they might be hard to find for that first month or so, but eventually they almost always reach saturation. They just sit there, and sometimes even go on deep clearance. I think I saw some people getting the Rainmaker 3-pack for like $60 or something, so basically getting a free Seeker there. So if you don't have these, I would absolutely recommend picking them up. They're fun little toys. They're neat little lesser known G1 characters, and they have a cool gimmick. I mean, they do a good job of having two completely different alt modes, but having a near identical robot mode. So, mission accomplished there. The paint jobs are really cool. I love the silver on the face. I think you'll like that too. And of course, if you have any intention of picking up the almost inevitable Autobot twins that come out, you're gonna want these guys to square up against them, right? You need to have the two teams. So yeah, overall, highly recommended. Unless maybe you have the originals. In that case, it's up to you if you want to part with another $25 to get a slightly updated version. But yeah, I like them. I think they're a really good purchase. Of course, that is only my opinion. What really matters is what you all think. Are you, down for getting this 2-pack? Do you think it's a much better method of getting the clones out there than the original way they did it? For those of you that have the original ones, are you tempted to still pick these up anyway? And why is that? Is it the better deco, or better subjective, but different deco, or even the map piece? Like me, and you need a piece of cardboard. Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the new Earthrise Pounce and Wingspan. And with all that said, I will see you next time.